afternoon, Millhaven. Wild Bill Denver. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. That officer I told you about last hour, the one who wouldn't sign off on the report he was handed, I've learned he's been placed on administrative leave as of this morning. Official reason, quote, unrelated personnel matter, end quote. Unrelated, folks. Same day, same hour, same story. And it's unrelated. I've been doing this 30 years, and I know what a coincidence sounds like, and this is not one. I reached out to his union rep, who wouldn't confirm details, but did tell me, and I'm quoting directly, quote, we're aware of the circumstances, and we're looking into whether proper procedure was followed, end quote. That's about as close to a yes as anybody in a union office gets on the record. I also want to bring you something Councilwoman Okafor Bly's office confirmed a few minutes ago. She's formally requested state oversight of this investigation, going over the deputy mayor's head entirely. Her office says she made the call herself this morning to a contact at the state capitol. If the state steps in, folks, that takes this out of Corwin Hell's hands, at least partly. And I think that is exactly why he's been working so hard the last 3 days to keep everything local, quiet, and contained. The walls are starting to crack in this city, folks. One honest cop, one honest councilwoman at a time. Wild Bill Denver, back at 1. WKRV 1150. The Rebel Frequency. One o'clock, Millhaven. Wild Bill Denver. WKRV 1150. The Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. States responded, folks, and faster than I expected. A contact at the Capitol confirms the governor's office has approved sending a liaison from the state police to Millhaven, expected to arrive sometime today. Now, officially, this is being called a resource sharing measure. Unofficially, my contact told me this decision came down within an hour of Councilwoman Okafor Bly's request this morning, which tells me somebody up there has been waiting for a reason to get involved, not resisting one. Deputy Mayor Hell's office put out a statement about 20 minutes ago, and folks, listen to this language closely. Quote, we welcome any resources that help bring this matter to a swift and orderly resolution. End quote. Swift and orderly. Not thorough, not transparent, swift and orderly. That's the language of a man who wants this closed, not solved. I also want to flag that suspended officer I told you about last hour. I'm told he's agreed to speak with the state liaison directly once they arrive, off the record from local command entirely. If that conversation happens, folks, that's the first crack in this wall wide enough for real light to get through. Deputy Mayor Hell has run this city's quiet machinery for 22 years without anybody looking too closely. I think that streak is about to end. Wild Bill Denver, back at 2. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Millhaven. Wild Bill Denver. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. The state liaison has arrived, folks, and there's already a name attached. Special Agent Renata Voss, State Police. And I want to tell you, the little bit I've learned about her in the last hour makes me think Deputy Mayor Hell picked the wrong week to try and keep this quiet. My contact tells me Voss has a background in what he called, quote, unconventional cases, end quote, and specifically requested this assignment herself the moment it crossed her desk this morning. Requested it, folks. Didn't get assigned, asked for it. She went straight to police headquarters, bypassed the mayor's office entirely from what I'm told, and asked to see every incident report from the last 3 days, including, and this is the part that matters, the original draft of that rail yard report before it got, let's say, edited down to Mountain Lion. I also want to update you on that suspended officer. My source tells me Agent Voss met with him personally within an hour of arriving in this city. Didn't wait for an introduction, didn't go through channels, just went and found him. That is not how a resource-sharing liaison behaves, folks. That is how somebody behaves when they already suspect exactly what they're walking into. Deputy Mayor Hale's office has gone quiet since she landed. No statement, no comment, nothing since 1 o'clock. I've learned to pay close attention to this man's silences by now. Wild Bill Denver back at 3, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. 3 o'clock, Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Got a strange one for you this hour, folks, and I want to lay it out exactly as it was told to me. A clerk at the county records office, doesn't want her name used, reached out to tell me that Agent Voss requested property records this afternoon, specifically anything tied to Deputy Mayor Hale personally, going back decades. The clerk said the request was unusual, not because of what it asked for, but because of what it couldn't find. Here's the detail, folks. Corwin Hale's name appears on city documents, council minutes, ribbon cuttings, budget approvals going back over 40 years. 40 years. But there's no birth record on file in this county. No original property purchase before 1991. No trace of him anywhere before that year. The clerk's exact words to me were, quote, "It's like he just appeared, already an adult, already in office," end quote. Now, folks, I want to be careful here. Records get lost. Records get digitized wrong. I know that. But I also told you 3 hours ago that man looks exactly the same in a photo from 30 years back as he does today. Add that up with a paper trail that starts in 1991 and goes nowhere before it, and I don't think we're looking at a records error anymore. Agent Voss has apparently requested the same information through official channels. If the state's asking the same questions I'm asking, folks, that tells me I'm not chasing shadows anymore. Wild Bill Denver, back at 4, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Four o'clock, Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Deputy Mayor Hale finally broke his silence this hour, folks. First time speaking publicly since Agent Voss arrived in this city. Held a brief statement outside the municipal building, no questions taken. He called the ongoing investigation, quote, "a matter being handled with the full cooperation of all agencies involved," end quote, and specifically praised Agent Voss by name for her, quote, thoroughness, end quote. Folks, I've covered this man a long time. I have never once heard him praise an investigator by name before that investigator had actually concluded anything. That's not cooperation. That's a man trying to look cooperative while something else happens behind him. And here's what I think that something is. My records office contact tells me a separate request came in this afternoon. Same office, different name on the paperwork, asking to have certain historical property files flagged for, quote, administrative review, end quote, pending a records integrity audit. Folks, that is bureaucratic language for taking documents out of public reach while somebody decides what the rest of us are allowed to see. I asked my contact directly whose desk that request came from. She wouldn't say on the record, but she didn't have to. Wild Bill Denver, back at 5. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Watch how fast paperwork disappears in this city compared to how fast bodies do. Five o'clock, Millhaven. Wild Bill Denver. WKRV 1150. The Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. I want to bring you something Councilwoman Okafor Bly told me herself about 30 minutes ago. First time we've spoken directly since this morning. She met with Agent Voss privately this afternoon, and while she wouldn't detail everything discussed, she told me one thing she wanted on the record in her own words, quote, I asked Agent Voss if this city's leadership has been compromised, and she didn't tell me no, end quote. She didn't tell me no, folks. Sit with that. I also want to update you on that suspended officer. He's agreed to go fully on the record, name and all, tomorrow morning with Agent Voss present. My contact tells me his statement is expected to include not just what he saw at the rail yard, but a description of the second shape, the one running from the other that never made it into any official report. Folks, tomorrow morning, we may finally get an eyewitness description of one of these things from a trained police officer, unedited, unfiltered, on the record. Deputy Mayor Hale's office has not responded to my request for comment on the records review I told you about last hour. Silence again. I'm starting to think silence is this man's native language when the truth gets close. Wild Bill Denver, back at 6. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Tomorrow morning's going to be a big one, folks. Don't miss it.